Oh, Shannon, what's LeBron saying here?
About? Did that sound
I wonder who he talking about.
who he's directing those comments at.
Hello.
Yeah. I agree with LeBron because that's what they think. They think, oh, but what people also need to understand, he's Karl Malone's size. Did Karl Malone run up and down the court like LeBron James? No. That's what we're asking.
I don't know. I think he did.
Karl Malone got most of his points on the block.
He got a whole bunch of them on the 2-on-1 fast break with John Stockton, freight training, man.
So who's running the offense, Karl Malone or John Stockton?
Well, obviously John Stockton.
Okay, LeBron.
Karl Malone played high minutes at high effort, man.
He wasn't playing these kind of minutes at this age.
I don't know. Whew.
Skip. Karl Malone has never had the responsibility that LeBron James has had, and that's what he's saying. And that's what no one ever said, because once they saw Michael Jordan dunk from the free throw line, Michael, why don't you dunk all the time? Why don't you jump over everybody all the time? It's never good enough for LeBron. LeBron gives you a virtuoso. And the first thing they say, Jordan would have got 60. Nobody said when Tom Brady threw for 500 yards in the Super Bowl, oh, Joe Montana would have threw for 555. Nobody said that. It's always him that no matter what he does, someone will find a critique or find a way to say, man, Jordan would have cooked him. Kobe Bryant would have had 72. Really? The man, do you know how much energy it takes to drive the ball to the hoop nonstop? There's no way, playing the amount of minutes, Skip, he's on pace right now. He's 600 more minutes ahead of everybody else that's played in the NBA. Clay is the next closest. If he plays 10 more minutes than Clay, at any point in time, it will be the largest gap in NBA history. Let that sink in for a second.
So why didn't he rest some during the regular season when he could have? When he was stat padding in those fourth quarters?
They wouldn't have made the playoffs. They wouldn't have made the playoffs.
They had him. They were way ahead.
Look,
I can show you again and again and again. The game is in hand. LeBron is stat padding.
I can show you the game was in hand in Indiana when they was up 24 and they lost. I can show you the game in Cleveland when they were up and they by 20 and they lost. I can show you Orlando. They were up 14 and lose by 25. I can show you those games. You and I both know, Skip Bayless, if LeBron James doesn't log those minutes, they're not making the playoffs. Just like now, averaging 46 minutes a game. 46. Averaging 38, 11, and 9 at the ripe old age of 33.
What did Jordan do at 34 against Karl Malone and company? I think he averaged 44 minutes a game.
Skip, that was a different game. They don't put everybody in the NBA is over 100 points. What was the final score of that game? What did you say the final score was?
87 to 86.
87 points.
It was extremely physical. It's hands on hands. It's hand-to-hand combat.
Golden State.
It is draining and grueling.
Golden State on a great night to go get you 87 and a half.
Yeah, they will.
That's what I'm talking about. And he's saying the mental aspect of, because you can't have any lapses. He says the mental grind that I have to go through. Also while putting the ball in the basket. Also while facilitating the offense. All while rebounding the basketball. 37 minutes a night in the regular season, 46 minutes. Skip, that's a grind. That's a grind. And he says people that thinks it's easy, that I can just steamroll my way to the basket. That's not happening. That's why Kevin Durant, it's easier to shoot a 20-footer than it is to get the ball and drive to the basket. Time after time after time, quarter after quarter after quarter, game after game after game. And unless you like me and Bron, because we've been there, Joy, know what it's like to have to do things of that nature.
You were with him shooting in the
Back
gym?
in my day in high school, I was like that. But I wasn't that big.
So yesterday, once again, was reason why LeBron James is the most protected superstar in sports history, that he was allowed to get away with what he did yesterday.
What did he do?
He sat there for, how long did it go? Maybe an hour? It seemed like it went on an hour.
Well, he walk out, you get mad. He give you a conversation for an hour, you get mad. What you want from him?
I didn't get mad. I didn't get mad about him walking out. I don't care if he walks out. But he went on and on about how we're just not talented enough or smart enough to play with that team that we're going to have to deal with in one more game, game 4. And it did come across to me as a don't blame me concession speech by LeBron James. And everybody wrote about, lots of the reporters and columnists wrote about how many hints it sounded like he was dropping about where he wanted to play next year and with whom he wanted to play. I want smarter players. I want this. I want Ben Simmons. I want Chris Paul. I want
He ain't
Lonzo.
say that.
Well, he did. He was dropping hints about how smart these players are. So the point is that nobody's going to hold his feet to the fire for sounding like he's given up on Game 4. Because what's the greatest thing about sports? Upsets. Well, how do upsets occur? It's when the team that's not as good as the other team beats the team that's better because they just play better, right? Mm-hmm. So don't keep planting excuses for if you get swept. Well, we just weren't this, we weren't that. Just go play.
Are they?
Go play.
Are they? Have we ever seen a bigger divide?
Is he the best player on the planet?
Yes, best player.
Is he better than Michael Jordan?
Yep.
Okay. Then you can't tell me that they're that much worse.
Yeah.
I give you that Golden State should be favored in this, but I'm going to tell you one more time. Golden State can be had physically. The Rockets had them on the ropes. The Rockets, if they hadn't lost Chris Paul, I'm pretty sure we'd be having a different conversation right now.
But that's what LeBron is saying. You can beat them for a quarter. You can beat them for a half. But can you maintain that mental edge throughout the entirety of the game? And like you said, yes, the Rockets beat them up physically. But could they couldn't do it, and they couldn't withstand the third quarter in Game 6 and Game 7. And that's what cost them. And Bron is saying, yes, this team is beatable, but you need guys that's fully engaged throughout the entirety of the game.
And he's telling you once again, I don't have those guys, right? Between the lines, isn't that your takeaway from yesterday?
No.
I don't have those guys.
Let me ask you a question.
How would you feel if you're one of those guys after you hear all this? And after a while, I'd say,
First of all, I'd have been kicking my own button to tail because I know I'm not fulfilling my obligations. That's what I wouldn't be doing. Because you know and I know George Hill with 5 points. J.R. Smith with that bungle in the first two. Really, Skip Bayless?
If I were one of those guys, I'd be sitting back this morning saying, well, I'm going to get blamed anyway. I don't know. It doesn't really matter what happens. I'm just going to get blamed.
You should be sitting back saying, I hadn't done diddly squat in this playoffs. That's what you should be sitting back saying. Let me ask you this, Skip Bayless. In the history of pro sports, has there ever been a guy came in with more expectations on his head, lived up to those expectations than LeBron James?
No one's had as high of expectations. That was a lot of his own doing. That's his own fault. He got tattooed across his own back, chosen one in high school.
Tell me the line, that tattoo.
He chose to wear number 23 as in making a huge statement, I got next, Michael, right? He chose to wear that number.
Yeah.
Okay, that nobody else forced him to wear that, right?
Maybe he liked the number.
And then he's so lived up to it that he's about to be tonight 3-6 in NBA Finals. I'm not sure that's living up. Really?
Well, what happened when he come back 4-3?
Well, you got a long way to go. You better join forces with like 5 superstars.
No, I don't. I'm talking about tonight.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Oh, coming back.
Yeah, tonight.
Yeah.
Setting it up for an epic.
So I do think some of this was aimed at me. That's fine. But I've only been covering this league since the 70s. I don't know anything about basketball. But I just ask, does LeBron James deserve to get a pass for resting on defense? Because I see him rest on defense a lot. And you have even validated that by telling me, yeah, he has to rest on defense, right?
He does.
Michael Jordan didn't rest on defense. I'm sorry, if we're going to do that bar, if that's how high we're setting the bar, he just didn't rest on defense.
Well, Scottie Pippen was leading the team in assists in the playoffs, so he didn't have to worry about initiating the offense. Scottie Pippen, see,
he was the offense. He was. He scored 45 to 87 in Game 6 at Utah.
Here's the thing, though, Skip Bayless.